Evening, our friends. Good
Hey,
evening, good evening. You can always count on me to make them laugh. How are you guys doing tonight? We're so excited to be here with you guys. Hopefully, you had an amazing weekend and took advantage of the LBA. That's always like such an important piece of continuing this business. So, hopefully, you took advantage of that. There's a lot of good things going on right now.
there's a lot of energy in the company, and if you didn't get the LVA, then make sure you start making plans for June. It's going to be the third Saturday of the month, and you want to maximize that event. Then get people together. And if you really want to maximize it, you be the person that organizes the get together. It's fantastic if you watch it. It's even better if you watch it with some other people. And it's best if you are the one that organizes the event that brings the people together. I trust me, in that order, that's how the priority should be if you really want to build the business. So anyway, yeah, it's a fantastic way. It happens every month unless there's a corporate event happening that month, in which case that event would then not be done by corporate. Sometimes we step in, and just me thinking without even our notes, there's going to be a July virtual event from LifeVantage in a lot of the markets. So, not to confuse you, to make things a little bit more clear, in June, there will be an LVA. In July, there probably will not be a corporate LVA, but there will be a virtual event that many, many markets are going to want to tune into. So,
For sure, for sure. So this Thursday, there's a super extra special Zoom that's happening. It's going to be a teachers um, opportunity meeting. Essentially, here's what we have found in this business: when you have kind of a niche or a niche of people that you can market towards, you end up really putting on your thinking cap and looking for those people. And perhaps you hadn't even thought of them before, but you're now able to reach out to them and allow them to join learning about LifeVantage. And it's going to be in their language. It's going to be from other teachers sharing their experiences and how, this business was able to be implemented in their lives and how it's, obviously helped them for the better. But anytime that you have something that's geared towards somebody's livelihood, there's an interest there because you're going to be relatable to them. You're going to be able to speak their language. So that's this Thursday. You're not going to want to miss it.
yeah, it was a couple days back, maybe a week or so ago. I don't know if it was Teacher Appreciation Day or Teacher Appreciation Week. Nevertheless, here might be an example of something you might want to use on an invite. You reach out to them. Hey, a couple days back, it was Teacher Appreciation Day, and I thought of you. There's something that I would love for you to get your hands on. There's a few teachers that have really, really got their hands on something exciting, and they're sharing what they did to make an impact in their life. Would you like the link? Would you like to hear what these teachers are doing? Like something in that realm, right? You can kind of use your own words, say your own things, but let them know that you were thinking of them. Let them know they'll hear from some other teachers. And that flyer, that graphic has already been created. It's already floating around right here in this very group. It's going to be hosted by Holly Tomet. You're going to have Tori Hill in there. You're going to have Jessica Perez in there, or Perez. Sorry, I always mispronounce her last name. And so that is going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal event that no one is going to want to watch without having a prospect on it. Like, watch it. It's great. Get a prospect on it, even better.
It's really the perfect excuse to reach out to people who are teachers. It's easy way to start the conversation.
And the timing couldn't be better because school's about to get out. There's some teachers, this is their very last week this week. They've got a couple months where they tend to kind of, wind down a little bit, which they deserve. But at the same time, as far as I know, teachers don't make money
in the summer
during the break. And teachers need money. So anyway, that might be an angle for you to get them excited about this. The other thing is Boards, our app that we use for bringing people into this group, prospecting, has had more updates this past week. So we're actually moving some files around to try and make things a little bit more organized for you. to allow you to put your fingers right on things a little quicker. We're also taking these very calls that we're doing and putting them in boards. We are doing the best that we can to pull as much stuff off of Facebook and social media and put as much stuff online as possible, for two reasons. We never know what Facebook's going to do, and we don't really want to trust our business completely to any one vendor, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And so by having our videos downloaded and uploaded somewhere else, it gives us a layer of protection for our business. Plus, there's a lot of people out there that either don't know how or don't want to know how to use Facebook or social media.
Well, I think the other bonus is just that there's so many resources that we have, which is good. It's also bad because it's hard to put your finger on something a lot of times because you don't know where to look exactly. So boards is kind of streamlining that in a lot of ways because we're able to put so much there and it's just a click away. So
game changer.
Yeah.
When we found out about boards right away, I knew it was game changer. So we're going to continue to invest time and energy in boards, and it's going to become even better as time goes on. So let's continue where we left off last week. Last week, I shared with you 2 of the 9 steps that we laid out for the attendees of Castaway with the Cunningham. So we kind of wrapped the event up, and it was just on my heart to tell the group, listen, you want what Lynette and I've got? Like, do you guys really want this? Right? Do you want to be where we are? And of course, the answer for most is yes. And I laid out the steps that Lynette and I did, and we didn't really do anything other than this, what we're going to share with you. Okay. So to recap the first 2 quickly, in case you missed last week, you invite 2 or more people a day. 2 or more people a day. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not going to explain. Go back and watch last week's. And you use third-party validation to bring people into the business. It doesn't take third party to get a customer. But if you're not using third-party validation for consultants, you are not using a duplication model. You're not going to get leverage. It means that you have to be the one talking all the time. And I don't think that is, I know that will not yield you the results you want. You might think it does because it's going to work for a little while, and you're going to be like, see, I told you it's working. And then you're going to tell me one day, all I do is phone calls and all I do is work. And I'm going to say, see, I told you, you should have been using 3-way calls. So that's the first 2. Let's jump into number 3, and it's tracking your numbers. I'm going to say it again. You guys are going to laugh. You cannot manage what you don't measure. If you guys want to build a business, you're going to have to measure your business. Like, you're going to have to know your actions and what the results is, what you're yielding from those actions. Okay. So that's why we have a DMO sheet. So when it comes to the very basics, when you first start, you need to know how many people you're putting this in front of, because it will yield. If you got 1 customer this month and you wanted 2 customers, then all you have to do is go back and look, well, I told 10 people and I got 1 customer. So if you want 2 customers, you got to get 20 people in front of this. But you wouldn't know that unless you could go back and see, hey, I invited 10 people. You're going to have to start doing this if you want to really have a bigger business, right? And that's just the beginning. You want to measure your follow-ups. You want to measure how many live meetings you got on. You want to measure how many people you are adding to your network each day. Like, that's part of the DMO, making sure that you're expanding your network every day. So make sure you're tracking your numbers. I've got a board up here. We've got some specific goals, and my notepads, I've got notepads around here, and 60% of the notepads is numbers. It's like, it's not handwritten, it's numbers, right? Because numbers don't lie. They just don't lie. And so I love numbers, and that's been a big part of why we've had the success that we've had. While we're speaking of numbers, you guys that really want to build a big business, there's magic around the 80-20 ratio. 80% of your enrollments for the month being customers, 20% being consultants. If you guys can do that. Now, the 3-in-1 that we all are telling everyone, go get 3 customers a month and 1 consultant. That's actually a 75-25, which even is a stronger ratio. But I've seen for over a decade, 80-20. So just go back and look at April's numbers and see what percentage of enrollments were consultants. And if it's below 20, it's not the end of the world. If it's below 10, it's not the end of the world. If it's below 5, it's going to be tough to build a business that way. Okay. So you want to make sure you're 10% to 20. And if you're over 20, teach me what you're doing. All right, let's go to number 4.
Number 4 is hosting and attending 1 meeting a week. And, you know, I think back to Brandon and I getting started in the business and immediately implementing this because it's what the people who had what we wanted told us to do. And so because I had little babies at the time and I didn't necessarily want to open my house up to people I didn't know all the time, we committed to renting a room at a hotel it was like, I don't know, $80 every time we rented it. It wasn't a big space, as you can imagine. I think it was a breakfast space of Country Inn.
It was the little breakfast space that hotels don't use at night because they're not serving food in there, and they're really reasonable to rent. It was like $50, I think, which now it's probably $80 because that was over a decade ago.
Regardless, the point is we put that little bit of money investment in order for me to be at peace with not having all these strangers in my house with my little babies. But because we had that commitment, because I had somebody set up to watch my kids while I was doing that, and, you know, like all of this preparation in place, we made sure there were butts in seats. So we were making sure people were at that meeting because we had already made the commitment. And the beauty in that is, of course, there were nights where nobody showed up, right? And we were still there and on the line for it. But the beauty is that every week we were working to build our business. And a lot of times people will play it by ear, how it doesn't look like anybody would want to come this week. I'm just not going to do a meeting this week. And when you do that, that means maybe the local distributors or consultants that you already have are now not coming to anything. Because honestly, there were times where we'd have other consultants show up, no guests, and we go, okay, I guess we're just going to train tonight. Mm-hmm. So we were still productive in working our business because we had committed to that night every single week, week in and week out for years. And eventually, of course, that space wasn't big enough. We had to get a bigger hotel room, cost a little bit more money. Again, it was us on the line for that, but we were committed to the process. And that was a beautiful thing for our business.
Yeah. So Lynette said either host or attend. So again, attend no matter what. But if you want to step it up, you're the one that puts your credit card down on the little breakfast area, right? You, the $50 or the $80 or the $100, or in some cases, Lynette and I put credit card down on several $1,000 rooms because we were doing big trainings, right? That was obviously down the road, but nonetheless, when you are the one organizing, it's a game changer. It really changes everything for your business because you tend to pay a little bit more attention when it's your event.
I mean, the reality is we watch time and time again in our team in the markets where there was somebody who had to kind of hold their own because like we weren't there to assist or there weren't other leaders in the area to assist. Those were the markets that thrived. And it's because they had to make it happen. Like they were putting themselves on the line and they made things happen. And that's just the course of history. Like there's so many examples where that's the case. Whereas when somebody just kind of joined the area and could plug into what was going on, they didn't have the same level of commitment. So different results.
It's called skin in the game, right? We've heard that before. So the next one in number 5 is that you either host or you attend a team call every week. Now, this isn't a call, it's a broadcast. It's a video broadcast inside of a social media platform, but somehow we just label it a call. For, I want to say a decade, but 8 years or 8.5 years, it was a phone call on Sunday night, conference call. And that was and has been a staple for Lynette and I's business. And so we know this is critical. These calls, these Zooms, these video broadcasts are critical to your success. At first, you're going to attend. At first, Lynette and I attended. We didn't immediately start presenting, pretty quick, but the first couple of meetings we watched. We drove to Jacksonville. We drove 4 hours to watch a meeting. And at the beginning, the calls, we didn't immediately start doing calls. We were listening in on other calls. But real quickly, there was a vice president that told us, like, listen, people that have a lot of success in these things, they lead a team, and you guys should lead the team. And we listened to that, and immediately we implemented doing our own call. And so if you are new, plug into a call. But if you're ready to take to the next level, right? Think about hosting your own call. Now, definitely discuss that with your support team, because there's a delicate line of when you want to start leading at that level, because the worst thing any of you guys can do is to be inconsistent in your business, because inconsistency breaks the trust with your team. And if your team doesn't trust that they can trust you, or you count on you, then their energy drops, their belief drops, and then their activity drops. So I've seen countless times people go, okay, I'm gonna do a call. And they do a call for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then they miss a week. And okay, no, we're gonna do it once a month. And then before long, there's no call. Okay. So there's a fine line there. So just get with your support team and listen. Anybody that ever comes to me and says, hey, I want to talk to you about doing my own call, I'm going to say, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. But we're going to talk about a bunch of different things to make sure you're ready to do the call. Okay. So just make sure you're attending. But at some point, it's even better if you're hosting your own call.
The next one is attending and promoting a monthly training. So we just talked about the LVA. You know, that it's awesome that the company has that, that you can plug into. You don't realize how significant that is until you don't have it. For us, there wasn't one, and so we had to start to do our own. And then eventually the company did start doing it, and that was awesome. But what we found is it required our participation still. We still had to be there and promote it and, push it, because that's just what it takes. That's what it takes. If you want your team to be in attendance, then it's going to require you leading with your example and encouraging and promoting. We've said so many times, promoting is one of the most important skill sets in this profession. And this is one of those examples. Promoting those monthly trainings are massive.
I've heard so many times people say, well, they said the same thing at this meeting that they said at the last meeting. Yeah. Because we have a simple business. And guess what? The first meeting, the first training you go to is for you. Every training you go to after that is for your team. Because if you don't go, your team's not going.
But I don't care how many times you've been to a training and how many times you've heard the same thing. It's a rare occasion that you don't leave with something that was beneficial for you.
Absolutely. 100% you're going to learn. But with that mindset, I'm going because I'm leading a team. Then now you've got the right mindset, because listen, when you're doing this month in and month out, you're going to hear the same things.
And you guys, it's not just about being in attendance either. It's being engrossed in what's being said and paying attention to that. When we used to show the ABC primetime at an opportunity meeting, we'd watch that video as if we'd never seen it before, glued to the screen, because that's what we wanted our guests to do, right? So we were glued to the screen.
That's a whole training in itself,
right? But the same can be said of trainings. When I've been to elite academies and I've watched people in the hallways at elite academies during the training, I'm like, what are you telling your team? You're telling them it's not important what's being said in there. So an LVA, same thing. Like if you're not paying attention, you're telling your team it's not
Put
important.
your cell phone in your pocket or your purse. It's an epidemic now. Literally, how many times does someone open?
200 to 500 times a day we pick up our cell phones.
So just do the math on that. Like, how many hours are you awake? There's 24 hours in a day. How many hours do you sleep? 6, 8? Okay, so that means you're awake, 16 to 18 hours, right? Do the math on that. It's like dozens and dozens and dozens of times an hour you're opening your phone. So it's ingrained. It's like it's habit, right? So you're going to have to break the habit at a training, especially when you have prospects or your team with you. Because if you're constantly checking your status and notification, your phone rings and you open your phone during a training, guess what your prospects and your new distributors are going to be doing during the training? Looking at their cell phone. And they're going to miss the one thing that could have changed their business for them. So, boy, that's a whole training in itself of meeting etiquette and how to get the most out of a meeting. But just make sure you're at these monthly trainings. Monthly is critical, especially in the very beginning. All right. The next one is that you attend and promote every corporate event. Now, the reason this one's critical, guys, is the more you can leverage corporate, the better. It's the less you have to do. Like if you've got to do every event, then you're going to be doing events for the rest of your life. And I tell everybody, we got into this, the title of these 9 steps, the title is The Roadmap to Freedom. Do you guys want to be free or do you want another job? I know the answer. When I sign someone up, I tell them I'm going to make you independent of me in 90 days. That's the plan. You won't need me after 90 days. Okay. And so don't you want that of your people? Don't you want people that you can bring into the business and you can empower them at such a level that they really don't need you for day in, day out after 90 days? It doesn't mean you disappear and you lose their phone number after 90 days. It's quite the opposite when you find a leader. Like, when you find a leader and someone that wants to run it, they're extremely valuable. But the point is, corporate events allow you freedom because they're doing the events, they're setting it up, it's their credit card, they're putting the agendas together. It's when you start running events, you'll start to realize. The other thing is this: getting to a corporate event is so critical. Because all you really know is like your sponsor or the person that brought you into the business, their story, their success, and it's just kind of localized. But when you go to a corporate event and you see people from all walks of life, different ages, different regions, different ways of doing the business, and they're having success, it lets you know that you're a part of something much, much bigger. Now, is the corporate event going to be perfect? Is it going to have all the colors and the music the way you want? No. Is it going to have is the training all going to be exactly what you want your people to hear? No, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a corporate event. And you want to have at least the mindset that you want an organization so big that it becomes bigger than you and your personality. Lynette and I have an organization to the size where people just do things differently. Some people do all social. Some people do no social. People do all face-to-face. I don't want just one or the other. I want all walks of life in our organization, and corporate events are ways for you to get people to an event, leverage that, and then be inspired. It's extremely important. The next one is investing in personal development. This is number 8. Okay. Now, in the beginning, that could be just your time, investing your time. So right now you guys are on a training. This is your time, and it sort of falls inside personal development, what we're doing right now. But I would say make sure that you're getting all that you can get out of what this team is already providing you when it comes to personal development and the trainings that are available. There's so much training that's available to you right here at your fingertips in this group. So at first you're investing your time. The next step is money, right? And so when it comes to a corporate event, It's going to cost you some money normally to travel to the event and be there. By the way, tax deductible. Okay. Just so you know. But have a budget for this. Set aside, when I hear people say, well, I can't go to that event because I can't afford it, but yet I know they're making $300 or $400 a month or more with LifeVantage. I'm like, maybe you should be saving that LifeVantage money for your airfare and your hotel and reinvesting that into your business instead of using that LifeVantage money because you didn't have the money when you signed up, right? So set aside a budget. Get a budget. Maybe it's $30 a month you're going to put aside, or $50 a month, or maybe it's $1,000 a month, whatever that budget is. And I'm telling you, the number one best investment you'll ever make in your life is investing in yourself.
Well, I honestly, I feel like there's so many ways to develop yourselves personally that doesn't cost anything at all. There's really no excuse not to do it. I mean, I love music. I love it, love it, love it. I want it on all the time, but I make time to listen to podcasts because I feel like they're going to help me grow. And there's various forms of podcasts, right? But the ones that I choose to listen to are ones that are going to grow me. And there's a plethora of them, and YouTube, and there's just so many that you can do while you're multitasking, but you're being intentional about making sure that you're putting good stuff in, because it reaps more benefits than I think people realize. I see often a decision a person makes, and you know that the source of that decision was their mindset, and you can see how broken it is. And so I feel like that's been such an advantage for us because we did that long before LifeVantage. And so, a lot of people have never even considered that before, but it's instrumental to your growth.
Yeah, the fast track to success is usually paying other people to tell you what mistakes not to make. And that can be in a book, a free podcast. There is so much you can leverage now. Or maybe masterminds. Lynette and I are in masterminds. That's next level. I'm not suggesting you guys go do that. And if you do want to do masterminds, please consult with your support team, your uplines, because you can get lost in the masterminds that are available. I'm happy to tell you which ones I think are valuable, which ones are maybe not valuable, if you want my opinion. The last one is creating a culture. This one is critical because culture eats strategy for lunch. Okay. You can strategize all you want, but if you don't have the right culture, you're not going to get the buy-in. People aren't going to stick around. They're not having fun. There's a saying, if you're not having fun, then you're not doing it right. And I believe that. I truly, truly believe that. If you're not having fun, then other people aren't having fun. They can feel that. And if they're feeling it, they're just going to go somewhere where they're having fun. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, Steve Jobs said it best. Like, if someone doesn't enjoy what they're doing or the people they're doing it with, then before long they just quit, because otherwise you'd be crazy. Like, that's Steve Jobs, and he was right. So he created a culture at Apple where people actually would work way into the night and would get offered more money at other software companies, and they wouldn't go because they enjoyed the culture. It was like they had this brotherhood or sisterhood inside Apple. I think he was one of the first companies that allowed people to go to sleep at, like, nap, and also had beer in the refrigerators. I don't know. Apple did pretty good for themselves. He kind of had something figured out.
Like, why would I go home? I don't have beer at home.
I'm just going to go home and nap and drink a beer. So why don't I get here, do it, and get paid? Smart, right? And so create a culture where people are having fun, because if they're having fun, they're going to stick around, and they stick around long enough, some of that good stuff that you've got is going to rub off on them. And that's what this is all about. This is all about you creating an environment where people can plant their seed in your environment and grow. Right? So you've got to create the right environment so that they get the fruitage. Their seed grows, they get the fruitage. That fruitage could be more time, could be more money, could be better health, whatever it is that they're after. It's going to come mainly because of your culture. So if you guys aren't having fun, then rethink the way you're doing things, because that alone may be why you're succeeding or not succeeding. Lynette and I did that. We had and we still kind of do have a reputation around LifeVantage. We had the new office at LifeVantage. We were the very first team to come in and do a meeting, and we went straight to the store and got the little refreshments, and the CEO came in, and some of the sales team was like not so sure how it was going to go down. And, we had the refreshments laid out, and Steve's like, okay, all right, so this is how it goes, right? Like, yeah, it's how we do things. So we have always liked to have fun, and it's been a big part of our success. So True Blue, TBC, some of you guys may even know that, right? The TBC is the True Blue community. For all you Australians out there, I couldn't believe when I first learned that there's a song called True Blue. It's like this cult song, kind of like for us, Jimmy Buffett's like, Margaritaville, right? It's kind of like their Margaritaville, right? But we are the True Blue community. And we are a group of people from all walks of life that have linked arm with one common goal, and that's that we all have more choices in our life. By working together, it gives us the ability to have more choices to do the things that are important to us. And that's what this community is all about. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this call. And those are the 9 steps. That's the roadmap to freedom. So do them, apply them, right? So thank you guys for being on here.
See you guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye.